The fight between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. had just taken place, igniting a firestorm of reactions from fighters, trainers, and pundits alike.
Forget that, just unbelievable respect for both men. I could not be prouder of Conor Benn for what he's been through and the heart that he showed in the ring tonight. You know, Nigel Benn was the people's champion. Tonight, Conor Benn become the people's champion.
It surprised me. I didn't know he had what he had in him. I really didn't. I thought I would break him early. I underestimated him. You know, I didn't train for a fight like that. You know, I didn't know he had that in him.
How do you feel, Senior?
Extraordinary performance. And I give credit to Conor Benn because let me tell you what, I was always right. What did I say to you? He's an extraordinary fighter, but the promoters are bringing him up, which is spoiling his weight at 147. What did I say? I've been saying it for, what, 2 years? That man can go across to the United States and actually tear it up. And you saw that. You saw that. Junior is too big a man. These weights that they are flouting is, you know, they're destroying the fighters.
No, good fight, good fight. You don't want nothing more. As a boxing fan, that was fantastic. Enjoyed every second of it. Good fight, happy.
What did you think of Eubank's performance? Do you think he won the fight?
Yeah, I think he won the fight. It's a good fight, though. Really close, really close. Everything was. I think it's a good fight.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think Eubank should do, or do you think they should run it back, Fraser?
Of course, it's a business. They can run it back, man.
I saw my 100-metre sprint from Ben Whittaker, so I promised myself I'd keep it calm tonight, but I couldn't be more happy, more proud. Look, I have to be honest, I was shocked. I was shocked at what an unbelievable fight it was. I was shocked at how good Conor Benn was. I'm okay to say that. I think Eubank Jr. got the shock of his life in those early rounds. And then he just came on strong, dug deep and showed his class, and those last 2 rounds were phenomenal. But unbelievable fight, and an unbelievable night, and great for Senior to be here as well.
How did you score it, Ben?
Probably 3 or 4 rounds in Junior's favour, but as I say, I think those last 2 rounds were really what took Junior far ahead. I think it was nip and tuck up into that. Look, for me, Junior should be winning in more devastating fashion, in my opinion. But Conor Benn was phenomenal. I look, maybe I've underestimated Conor Benn. I did not expect it to be like that. I thought he was really, really good. I thought Chris had to end up being really, really good, and we just saw a phenomenal fight. I mean, for any boxing fan watching that for the first time, what do you think? You see Eubank, you see Ben, you see Chris Senior, you see the emotion, you see the family ties, and then you get to see a 12-round unbelievable fight. It's the greatest advert for British boxing we've had in a long time.
Some people call that DNA. I say like this.
Guys, move to one side, please. One side, please.
Did that fight live up to expectation?
Yes, it did. But I believe it's a draw. Both fighters, nobody needs to lose today. It's a f***ing draw.
If you had to give it to someone, anyone edged it?
No. They f***ing worked hard in the gym. They trained hard. So f*** that. It's a draw.
I feel pretty good. I mean, I thought he fought again. I'm the type of guy, I pay homage to both fighters. I thought they both put their hearts on the line.
Yeah.
I thought they both gave everything they had. And if they could have gave more to the crowd, they would have gave more.
Yeah.
I think the biggest winner was Great Britain. Just my opinion. You got 2 native people put on a massive performance just for the hometown.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get that all the time. That's a rare commodity that you can have. So
yeah, for sure.
I think that this fight would be talked about for a very long time.
For sure.
You know, but I'm happy that we get to walk away with the victory. To answer your question.
Of course. Conor started a little bit faster. He was very energetic. Not sure whether that was nervous energy, etc., etc. Where do you think Chris played his part in the fight? Where were his better rounds from your opinion?
I think he met his match. He met him at his. Conor started fast.
Yeah.
Chris matched that.
Okay.
That was the difference in the whole fight. If Chris would have started slow, then the fight would have been totally lopsided.
Yeah.
But because Chris started right away. And a lot of people underestimate one thing when it comes to boxing. Your left hand is here for a reason. You may not knock guys out, but you damn sure can win rounds with it.
Yeah.
His left hand was key. He kept popping his jab.
Yeah.
You know, and my teacher taught me very well, the late great Emmanuel Stewart, how to use the left hand. Left hand is the key piece. He taught Lennox. I'm sure everybody know who that is. and no one thought he would outbox Holyfield, but he did it. Just using his jab, perfecting his jab.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all about the skill of the sport and not just the violence of it. And I thought he did a pretty good job tonight.
Unbelievable atmosphere, incredible fight. You know, the fight really ignited, and you know they both played their part in that. They both battled hard. Neither gave up, neither wanted to give in. The will they both showed was incredible, and Junior at 36 years old, he had to show his resolve there. He had to dig deep into the well and pull it out in the championship rounds. And I was impressed for him to be able to do that at 36 years old. It's impressive.
A lot better, bro. A lot better. What a fight it was. Just massive props to Conor Benn, bro. He's a welterweight at the end of the day. He come up, great fight. I had it a draw personally. Yeah, I had it a draw. Very close fight. Done their fathers proud, done the boxing world proud, and brilliant, bro.
What were the key moments for Eubank? What do you think won him the fight?
I think it was the little bursts he kept doing at the end of the last 3 rounds, and I think the only thing that kind of played in his part was the experience. But then I keep saying that, but then I still had it a draw. But yeah, I think they should do it again.
If one was to win, who would you have given it to?
It's a bit of a hard one, that, but I'd have to pick Eubank, only because he pushed the pace. And like I said, that's due to experience. But yeah.
What a fight, lived up to the hype. It was a great fight, what can I say? You know what I mean? I think Eubank did enough to win, but very competitive all the way through. On edge of your seat, it was good.
Were you impressed by Conor? Because ultimately he was the lighter fighter in there tonight.
Yeah, Eubanks is no Golovkin. You know what I mean? You could see the weight. He started to look tired, but Conor had that energy. Moving up the weight, he had more energy inside him. But equally matched. You know what I mean? It lived up to the hype, and they didn't let the fans down.
Is that how you scored it? 116, 112?
I don't know. I had him 2 rounds. I had him in the last couple. It were neck and neck, and then I had the last couple of rounds where he took it.
What do you think Conor would have to do different in a rematch?
I don't know. I think he would have learned loads from that fight. I would have liked him to start. The smaller fight, use his jab more. More twitches, more feints. Worked a better game plan. But he didn't do much wrong. To be fair, he performed best to his ability.
These were the predictions and perspectives that the boxing community shared before the opening bell. Teddy Atlas took a nuanced view in the lead-up. He described Chris Eubank Jr. as a fighter who thrived in high-pressure situations, someone whose psychological edge often sharpened under duress. Atlas suggested that if Eubank drew Benn into emotional exchanges, he capitalized on mistakes and turned the tide in his favor. Still, despite his respect for Eubank's composure and fortitude, Atlas picked Benn to win. He believed that Benn's raw desire, risk-taking nature, and relentless approach broke through and prevailed.
People can't wait to see that, and they're all excited about that, and rightfully so. It's got the promotional chops to it. It's got the behind-the-scenes stuff to it. With animosity and bad blood, whatever, all that stuff. And it's got the history with the fathers. Eubanks, wants to probably keep it on the outside as much as he can and use his skill sets to, use his hand speed and his ability to throw counter punches and, punches from different angles. He needs space, or space accommodates him pretty well and favors him pretty well when he has that space to do that. And I would think that Ben would like to take that space away. It should be an interesting fight. You know, you can make I like parts of each guy. You know, I like the ability of Eubanks when he's right. You know, when his focus is there, when he's right, to be able to do things in a boxing way on the outside. And I love Ben's style and his approach. I do, where, you know, being aggressive in a responsible way, you know, in a way a fighter should be, with paying attention to, you know, doing it with defense.
Frank Warren zoomed out to see the bigger picture. For him, the bout's significance stretched well beyond the 12 scheduled rounds. It wasn't just about who got their hand raised. It was about history, redemption, and legacy. He spoke of the fight as pure boxing theater, a culmination of family rivalry, a canceled bout revived, and unresolved tension that boiled over.
Yeah, I watch it. I watch all boxing on there. You know, it is what it is. I'm not going to change my views on the fight at all. I've said enough about the fight, what I think about it. I'm not a big fan of Chris Eubanks Jr. He's 36 years old, 36 years of age, and I look at what Hamza's doing. I look what Denzel Bentley have done. You know, gone and fought for proper world titles, real world titles, and done them at a young age.
You feel like Chris has wasted perhaps prime years of his career?
I don't think about him at all, to be quite honest. It doesn't concern me. All I'm interested in doing, excuse me, is making fights for my fighters. And as I say, you know, him and Conor, anytime can fight my two guys. I think the weight thing at the time was a very relevant point. Of course it was. It was a very relevant point. But look, it is what it is, and that's the Board of Control. They're obviously will be scrutinising everything. I'm sure everything will be in order.
Showbiz the adult brought a more physical angle to the conversation. While he saw Eubank as the favorite, he raised a red flag around the weight situation. Eubank cut down significantly to make the agreed limit and then contended with a rehydration clause that limited how much he could put back on after weigh-in. Showbiz warned that this left Eubank drained on fight night, potentially robbing him of the energy and durability he needed to deal with Benn's pressure. He predicted Eubank to win, but noted the weight issue as a real X factor.
He corrected it. He definitely corrected it. He's such a great salesman, Eddie Hearn is. There's a chance that Conor Benn has the weight advantage this fight. Bruh, there is a chance that Conor Benn has the weight advantage this fight. Chris Eubank coming down, and then with a rehydration clause, y'all seen it time and time again, there's a good chance that Conor Benn, he's not going to be able, not Conor Benn, but Chris Eubank is not going to be able to endure.
Gareth A. Davies leaned into the idea of magnitude, that this version of the fight, years after it was first scheduled, became bigger than ever. Fueled by tension, media hype, and growing fan anticipation, he saw the matchup as a blockbuster moment in British boxing. While Davies acknowledged Benn's potential to explode early, he ultimately backed Eubank to survive the initial surge and edge the bout on points through superior experience and ring control.
There's going to be a few surprises next week, I think, but
do you think one's too big and one's too little, or do you think we're going to get a real battle?
I think Eubank's probably a bit too big, and he's mixed in higher company. He's fought some really tough guys, you know, that like Groves, Smith. He knows what it's like to be in there with world-class people, and Ben hasn't really experienced that, so I think that's going to be the difference.
Eddie Hearn stood firmly behind his fighter, Conor Benn. Through all the controversies and setbacks Benn faced, Hearn remained in his corner. He spoke confidently about Benn's focus and the tireless work ethic he displayed during training camp. Hearn believed that while Eubank held a physical advantage, possibly entering the ring up to 10 pounds heavier, Benn's mental drive and hunger made the real difference. He anticipated a calm pre-fight atmosphere, but expected emotions to spike around the weigh-in.
He's just had the camp of dreams. Honestly, he's invested so heavily in that camp, and actually, like, you should never be afraid to make that kind of investment financially. I mean, especially if you're making a great payday. But not many people go to that level to make sure that it's perfect in every way. Food, sleep, strength, recovery, massage, like sparring, gym facilities, everything. And as an athlete, or in anything you do, if you've prepared like that, you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm ready. I couldn't have done anything more. Now I've got to go out there and enjoy myself and deliver. And I believe he will next week.
I think the one thing that Chris Eubank has that Conor doesn't in this fight is size and probably strength. What he doesn't have, in my opinion, is the boxing ability, the speed, the movement of Conor Benn. Don't get me wrong, if this fight was at the same weight class, Conor Benn's a big favourite. But Conor Benn's coming up 2 weight classes, and that's what makes this fight a 50-50. Eubank has the size, but Conor has the speed, the sharpness, and in my opinion, the ability.
Liam Smith, who knocked out Eubank in early 2023 before losing their rematch, lent a fighter's insight to the conversation. He noted that Eubank looked better in their second meeting, but warned that the size gap between him and Benn stayed massive. From Smith's viewpoint, Benn struggled to navigate Eubank's range and strength, which made it hard for him to impose his usual aggressive style.
What do you make of Eubank versus Benn?
You know, I'm not 100% sold on the winner, but I'll probably head towards Chris on points.
Why?
Just size-wise, Conor's small. Yeah, I think Chris might rob a points win, if that makes sense. I think he'll jab, I think he'll be cagey on. I think that's a style now. You know, he's not the Chris of old where everyone makes out he fucking loves a fight and ferocious and got this big high work rate. I think he's very cagey, jabs and holds a lot. And I think he won't give Conor a chance in there.
Carl Froch didn't mince words in his assessment. He held serious doubts about Benn's readiness for this level of competition. Froch respected Benn's passion and explosiveness, but emphasized that most of his standout wins came against older or faded fighters. Eubank, by contrast, shared the ring with fresher, more dangerous opponents and operated at tougher weight classes. Froch didn't see motivation alone as enough to bridge that gap.
I just think that all the variables, and you look at who's done what and who's the bigger, stronger man and who's got the experience at world level, you're gonna have to say Chris Eubank Jr. He's fought Groves, he's fought Billy Joe Saunders, he's been in there and beat Arthur Abraham, James DeGale, former IBF super middleweight world champion. He beat him. So he's performed at a better level and proven that at a higher weight, he kind of belongs around the world the world level status, where Conor Benn hasn't done anything. He's done nothing. Make no mistake, yes, he banged out Chris Algieri, who was a former champ, and he looked good doing it, but it was a way past his best Chris Algieri. I was working the commentary team for him alongside Roy Jones Jr. when Billy Joe Saunders fought Canelo Alvarez, and Chris was saying to me, I'm not in the gym, I'm not training, I'm not interested in boxing anymore, I'm going to concentrate on my punditry. About 6 months later, I'm seeing getting knocked out by Conor Benn. I thought, what is going on? Why do these fighters do it? Obviously, some of them need the bunts. But yeah, if I'm going to pick who I think is my immediate favourite for this fight, I'm going to say Chris Eubank Jr. based on everything I've just told you.
Simon Jordan, always outspoken, dismissed the event entirely. He voiced strong criticism of the matchup and the circumstances surrounding it, including past controversies and promotional spin. For Jordan, attending or even supporting the event felt like compromising his earlier stance, so he chose to watch from a distance, if at all.
Tottenham Hotspur Stadium?
Yep.
I'm pretty clear on my view on it, for what it's worth.
What? You don't want to see it, or?
No, I don't like it. I don't think it's the right fight. I think there's a lot of things around that fight that don't sit very well with me. I can't sit there and have said the things that I've said over the last 2 years and then suddenly rock up ringside like some parasite that wants to come to the latest freebie.
Tony Sims, Conor Benn's longtime trainer, carried quiet confidence heading into the fight. He spoke highly of Benn's preparation and described an intense and focused camp. Sims believed that both the mental and physical aspects of Benn's game clicked at the right time. From his perspective, this balance carried Benn to victory, more than speed, power, or strategy.
Yeah, you know, it's a massive fight, obviously, because of their dads' names, and you know, I think he'll pack any stadium out in England, and you know, people will want to see that fight. You know, there's some bad blood now between them both, which there weren't before. But over the past year, they've not got on so well, and so yeah, it's a big grudge match now, and you know, Conor's got to fight 2 weights up, which ain't easy to do. But, you know, he's confident of beating him.
Amir Khan originally backed Benn, citing the younger man's hunger and fire. However, after taking a second look, he switched his pick to Eubank. The size and strength disparity is critical, especially given Eubank's proven ability to handle pressure-heavy fighters. He didn't see Benn's heart as enough to overcome the physical gap.
The fight, you got 2 different styles. You've got an aggressive Conor Benn style, and then you've got a boxer in
Eubank. So, you know, it'll be a technical fight. Is a shorter guy, stronger guy gonna push him back, or is the guy who's the taller guy and who's more of a better boxer, is he gonna outbox Conor? So it's hard to tell. You know what I mean? Who's gonna win that fight?
Johnny Nelson held a similar view. For Nelson, the key issue was Benn's time away from the ring. While he acknowledged Benn's talent, he believed Eubank's consistency and active schedule gave him a decisive edge. Nelson also pointed out how Eubank's personality and media antics, particularly the infamous egg slap moment, boosted public interest in the fight, making it more than just another contest.
That's the only reason why I go against Conor Benn, because of inactivity. I think he's not boxed for 15 months and his career is staggered, and at one point I said this guy's one of the fastest improving fights I've seen in this country. Unfortunately, his career came to a halt, the progression of career came to a halt, and I think that's the only thing I weigh against him, because Chris in his last fight, I didn't think he looked outstanding, but he's been more consistent, he's been busier. I think Chris sold the fight with the egg. Regardless of what you think, Chris sold the fight, and it was like it was on every headline going. So he sold the fight regardless, and I don't knock him for it. All right, I'll probably not put that on another man, but these two are different gravy. You know what I mean? So things that are said, they're speaking about each other's family and things like that, and I'm like, they've crossed the line already.
Duke McKenzie offered a more grounded take. While the family legacy, promotional storylines, and online drama dominated headlines, McKenzie urged fans to focus on the actual boxing. Both fighters brought danger into the ring and expected their contrasting styles to create real excitement. He saw the fight as a pure stylistic matchup. No frills, no gimmicks.
You know, Eubank Ben is synonymous, obviously, because of their dads, and obviously this man had a part to play in that whole shake-up. So I mean, you know, Eubank Ben, it's brought a whole new audience to the sport of boxing, a whole new young audience to the sport of boxing. You know, you don't get a lot of young guys now talking about Ben Eubank seniors. They're talking about Ben Eubank juniors, and all the kids in my gym are absolutely sold on this. It's box office, it's entertainment.
Steve Collins, a man who fought both fathers of the current combatants, brought a unique generational perspective. He believed that the fight didn't necessarily need to be won on points or by dominance, just by execution. In Collins's view, Ben didn't have to outclass Eubank, he just needed one clean shot at the right time. That alone shifted everything.
Eubank do what his dad done in the day and land big shots. You know, he's not going to outbox him. He's not going to, you know, outsmart him. He's just going to have to land big shots. That's his route to success in this fight. It's not going to be easy. But that's how I see Conor winning: is landing big shots, and hurting and stopping Eubank. Eubank is clever. He's been at a good level. He's tough. So it's a hard show. You know, if Conor lands the big shots, he could do it. If he doesn't.
Shakur Stevenson weighed in from a technical angle. He praised Eubank for his timing, ring IQ, and sharper instincts. While he respected Ben's courage for stepping up to face a bigger opponent, Stevenson felt that Eubank's technical proficiency allowed him to control the fight. He expected a competitive bout, but predicted that Eubank took over as the rounds progressed.
Over in the UK. Conor Benn and Eubank, both pretty big names, but Conor going up 2 weight divisions really to take that fight. You're smiling. So what's your take on that one?
I'm just smiling because like I met Conor Benn, like he a cool ass dude.
He is.
He's very cool. Like everybody talk about how mean he is, but like every time I ran into him, he was always like a really cool dude. He always showed me like good energy. But truthfully, with that fight, I think that's a hard task just because of Chris Eubank. He's like a guy with subtle boxing skills. Like you ain't really noticing how like good he is, but he's a pretty good fighter. So I think it's a hard task. Good luck to Conor. I can't really give you an answer on how the fight will go, but
Ricky Hatton, who held close ties with the Benn family, recognized the enormity of the challenge ahead for Conor. He acknowledged that Eubank carried more size and experience into the ring. Still, Hatton pointed out that Eubank previously struggled with weight management. If that issue returned, he believed Benn had a real shot, especially if he came out hard and fast in the early rounds.
It's really interesting to think, to be honest with you. I mean, Conor's going up for 2 weight divisions. He's not fought anyone like the people that Eubank Jr. has fought, you know, at his own weight, let alone 2 weights above. So it'll be very interesting. But Conor has a huge self-belief and drive, to be honest with you. You know, a drive like his dad. The Benn family, I've never seen a family with more drive and determination. So I think everything's pointing at Chris Eubank Jr. But I think I might have a sneaky few quid on Conor, to be honest with you. His drive and his confidence and his self-belief is something that I've only ever seen in a handful of people, and he's going to need that, and I think that might be enough against Eubank.
Ben Shalom stayed clear of the emotional narratives. He kept the conversation on boxing terms and dismissed external drama and media noise. He described Eubank as a steady, professional figure in the sport, someone who consistently delivered and met the moment.
Listen, I was disappointed in Conor. I thought he was going to come and show his weight. No, but in all seriousness, it is tense because of what happened and what has happened between them. It's interesting to see them in front of each other now. But I'm just excited. I know how much Chris has prepared for this fight. I appreciate he's 35 and people are concerned about his weight, but he's an elite level fighter and he's going to show that.
So how did you react to the fight? Do let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe for more boxing content like this.